Hey, how's it going, everybody? Now, you'll see on the screen here a bit of a robot. I always try to keep in touch with technology, and artificial intelligence at the moment is really interesting. And what they've been able to do is create a couple AIs that can create pictures from just word prompts. And of course, I put my Opal hat on and decided what does a robot actually think about Opal? So I used two main AI. So Midjourney is one of them, and Craiyon spelt with an AI is the other one. Good to see they've got Adelaide University banner ads on where I work. Good. And yeah, the Craiyon one is not as good as Midjourney. It seems to be a much more powerful thing. But I'll just bring up a whole heap of stuff that I messed around with, and you'll see what I mean. It's quite interesting what the robots think about Opal. So you can give some really wild prompts. Here I've just said Lightning Ridge Gem Black Opal, Gem Black Opal carving, and it's produced these pictures. Now you can produce multiple pictures. You can tell it to just keep producing pictures, and it'll just keep on going. Or if you like one, like if you like this one in the top left, let me get myself off the screen. If you like the one in the top left, then you'll just tell it to generate more like it. And you can see this AI has actually done a pretty good job. You'll see that the other one is far less sophisticated. Now, it doesn't seem to have the strongest grasp on Opal. I mean, this isn't much of a pattern that you'd recognize in Black Opal. And it actually seems to have gone very heavily into doublets for some reason when it comes to carving. But I'll bring up what I thought was the most interesting thing that it did. Now, the prompt for this, I just put in ultra realistic heart made out of opal, and you can see here it has actually gone pretty all out. I'm not entirely sure what it's done around the outside here, but the actual opal kind of thing in the middle is pretty cool. It's not overly opal-like, and it produced a few others. So this is the 4 that you can see, and the first time it goes around, it does a bit of a basic, so you can see that everything's a lot less detailed, and then you tell it to do more and more iterations of the single one that I liked, and it gets pretty full on and pretty detailed over time. So definitely a cool little opal heart. I actually put in Roy's Rock's YouTube channel as well, and this is what it came up with. I don't know what this means. I like this one here. Here it's kind of just on a computer screen, but here I like this one, so I got it to do a more detailed version. And yeah, for some reason, this is what Roy's Rock's YouTube channel brings up. So the AI thinks it's a little bit ominous, I think. I like the underwater scene, but the blood red sky, it looks a bit like hell. Now, of course, I love fossilized opal, so now I did a human skeleton made out of fossilized opal. I would like to be buried and turn into an opal one day, and I thought this might be a way to see what that would look like, and it's got a little skeleton kind of thing going on here. Maybe human, maybe not. And then a little bit of opal-like features underneath it. Not exactly what I wanted, so it's not perfect. One thing that I really had a bit of fun messing around with is something like this. Here the prompt I did was a painting of gem opal in the style of Vincent van Gogh. And you can see that it's done a crystal with a Van Gogh painting in the middle of it, much like a Starry Night kind of style painting, which, I don't know, I thought it was pretty cool. Here I wanted something a bit more realistic, so Kubapedi gem opal carving. And I really like this one up in the top. It actually gives me a bit of an idea for an opal that I've had lying around for a while. It's pretty messy, and it does have a few grooves already, and I thought it looks pretty interesting to find like this. Of course, it really struggles with opal in general. You'll see from Craiyon how much more it struggles. It seems to be a weaker AI that just kind of trolls through the internet and has a look at pictures that people have put up. And on average, we all know that photographing opal is pretty hard. So I think Craiyon has learnt too much to replicate bad photos of opal. A little bit more artistic, I put in a galaxy of gem crystal opal, and this is the kind of pictures that it brought up. Pretty cool, but yeah, not really what I thought it would bring up. It doesn't have a strong grasp on opal yet, but we'll see, it could get better. So now this is the other AI, this is Craiyon, and the prompt here was just something really simple, Lightning Ridge Black Opal carving, and you can see all of its images are kind of like out of focused, poor shots of opal, and the patterns they're just not quite there. So it's collated from a lot of images that it's got in its brain. and it's just not quite nailed it. Like, I mean, black opal, yes, but really it's not overly carved or anything. They're just some freeform shapes, I guess, so could be carved opal. But yeah, every picture is kind of out of focus. The backgrounds are a bit weird. And then when you put in a prompt like red lightning ridge black opal, it goes a bit pear-shaped. So it's just put like a saturation red over the top of a whole heap of pictures. I was really interested in this one here just because it's included thumbs. Like a thumb and maybe a finger behind it. It kind of looks really artificial. The AI's tried and it's really struggled. So Craiyon, really weak. If you're going to have a play with this stuff, definitely go with Midjourney. It's been much more impressive. Where Craiyon did pretty well is with the Cooper Pedy white opal. Like this looks, I've seen photos that people have sent me to have a look at their opals, and this is not bad. It's very similar across all of the opals, which is a bit disappointing, but I could have just got it to generate multiple photos and I just settled for this one. It actually looks fairly good, fairly normal kind of photo. So generated by AI, that's not a bad job. And then here I gave it a bit of a challenge and said Cooper Pedy black opal, and you can see it's tried. It's mixed a bit of Cooper Pedy and it's got that opaque look to it, and they've just put some black in the background and maybe a little bit through the body tone, but not a lot. And the patterns are a bit, they're not looking overly real. Then it did some interesting things with the prompt of gem grade opal carving, where it's actually done a bit more of an opal carving, whereas Midjourney didn't do that. The pictures themselves are not overly great. It's a bit unrealistic in the reflection. I don't know what it tried to do with that reflection, but it really amped up the colors. And then here, I don't actually know what it's put in that bottom corner. And here it's done some sort of weird composite of multiple pictures in the one. It got a little bit confused, but I liked things like this. And every now and then it throws in some fingers, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then of course I was looking through the chat and everyone was putting up some wild things. And a lot of people were putting in prompts that linked to an artist. So I put painting of gem opal in the style of Leonardo da Vinci, and this is what it came up with. And yeah, it's actually probably done better pictures, more realistic opal pictures than when I was just giving it a opal prompt. So quite interesting. Like this, I've got an opal that looks like this one here, and I've got one that's similar to this one here. So yeah, quite interesting the way it's done some of this. And yeah, there you have it. So definitely check it out if you're interested in this kind of technology. I mean, you don't have to use it for opal. If we just go to the community showcase for Midjourney, you'll see the insane pictures. Some of the pictures that it's produced, and I think people have put their prompts and then what the result was. And I mean, some of this work is just incredible. And this is what a robot is doing. This is just an AI just given some words and it just comes up with this in its brain. So it's incredibly impressive. It's getting scary good nowadays. And people are putting in really, really detailed prompts. I might actually just get rid of my face again so you can have a look at a few of these, because I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Sure, it doesn't understand opal so well, but I guess it's got a lot less to draw on with opal. It's not overly well known, and I wasn't giving it a lot of detail either. So it was just coming up with a pretty basic image, and these people have put in really detailed kind of descriptions to get these photos, and it's quite amazing actually. So yeah, I know a lot of artists and stuff are scared of this kind of thing taking off, but I mean, technology is insane, and I think there's no stopping it now. Looking at some of these pictures, so I think we've got to embrace it, and I don't know. Hopefully, it gets better at drawing opal related things in the near future, because it's doing some. I mean, this is cool. Antique lithograph of gemstone minerals. No opal in there, but it'll get there eventually one day. Really interesting stuff. Definitely check it out if you've got a bit of spare time. It's got free trials and all sorts of stuff. There's some other paid options as well, but if you just want to mess around, then yeah, just have a play. It's really interesting stuff, and you can make it opal related, so even better. On that note, I'm gonna go do some actual opal related stuff with all the carving right next to me. So see you around, guys.